Hello and happy Friday. Today I have attached your notes and a YouTube video that'll help explain this as well, but I'm going to go through the notes. I've already written them. So as you're writing these notes down, you can, again, pause the video, or you can just pull up the PDF that I'm going to attach of the filled out notes, and you can fill them out at your own pace, and you can just listen to me explain them right now if you want to. It's totally up to you how you do that. But to end this week, we're going to do multiplying and dividing fractions. So we started the week with our multi-step equations, and then we talked about the different types of numbers you're going to see, and you did a coloring activity with that. And then we looked more specifically at fractions and how we add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions. So yesterday you had 5 problems on Delta Math on adding and subtracting fractions. And today you'll have 5 problems on Delta Math as well, but it's going to be multiplying and dividing, which I think that's actually easier. But let me flip to the notes so that you can see what you need to write down, and I'll explain everything. And let me also add, I am noticing that there's maybe 5 kids that are actually doing the work and talking to me throughout the week. The rest of you are going to get zeros for your work if you do not turn it in. I understand that this is new. This is new for all of us. And some of you might be feeling overwhelmed. Feel free to reach out to me or the counselor at school if you need help with things. But you can't just not do things and say you don't have internet and you're just going to get exempt. It's not working that way this year. Like, you have got to be graded. We are teaching. You've got to take it upon yourself to learn and watch these videos. So if you're not doing anything, I just want you to prepare yourself for the grades that you're about to get on Sunday when the work is due. It's all due. And I also don't want you guys to wait until Sunday to do all of the work for the whole week. Can you imagine if you went to school and every day your teacher, you did a couple problems in class for whatever you were talking about, and you did none of it, and you waited until the weekend to do all of the schooling that you've had for the whole week in a weekend? That's a lot of work that you're trying to do all at once. Don't make it hard on yourself. Log in, watch the videos, do the assignment. Each class shouldn't take you more than 20-30 minutes to do the work, and you can be done by lunchtime if you wake up early enough. So that's my rant. I'm just noticing that not a lot of you guys are logging on. And when you do log on, some of you just ask questions like, how do I upload this? What does this mean? It's very vague questions. I need you guys to realize I'm not there with you. I need these questions that you have to be specific. Hello, Miss Carter. I am logging into Google Classroom. I'm not having any issues there. I'm seeing all the stuff that I have to do for the week. I'm able to look at the attachments. My problem starts when I'm trying to upload my work back to Google Classroom. I'm using this app, I'm trying this isn't working. And then I can help you versus just saying, it's not working. I don't know what's not working. So just in the future, as we continue going on, make sure that you're very specific when you reach out to me and you need some help. I'm always here to help you. And also, don't depend on your excuse to last for very long. If something's not working, I expect you to set up a Zoom call with me or come into school for tutoring, and we can fix it and we can move on. There's no problems that you should be having that are going to exempt you from continuing to learn. Even if you don't have internet at home, you can call the school. They'll tell you my tutoring hours, and you can come into school and we can work on Mondays, and I can give you what you need for the week, and the school can give you something to take home to work on. So there's no way that you're going to be missing anything. We've made this as foolproof as we can in short notice. So please make sure you're watching these videos and that you're checking in and you're reaching out to me and you're communicating with me, and I know where you're at, and I know if we need to work on something a little bit longer, because during the week I'm not getting much work back from some of you guys. Now, those of you that I have talked to, thank you. Thank you so much for the feedback that you've given me, for the work that you've turned in. I really appreciate that. The rest of you, I need to see a little bit more. Again, this is only week 1, so I'm not too upset. We're all still learning, but I just don't want you guys to start to fall behind and then get very overwhelmed. So today, like I said, I don't want to make this too long. I ranted for a few minutes. Let me explain the notes, and you can either watch my explanation or watch the YouTube video that I link, and then go to Delta Math to do your 5 problems for today. And that's it. You're done. Okay, so you're going to title this page Multiplying and Dividing Fractions, and I listed in Google Classroom that this should be page 7. Some of you guys were commenting back about what was in your notebook, and I think you have too much going on in your notebook. So the notes go in your notebook, and the work that you're doing is separate. So you can have a folder to keep all that work, but that is not part of your notes. Your notes is just a place to go back to always be able to see examples or explanations. So some of the work I gave you doesn't necessarily need to be in there. It would just be too much. So the first thing we're going to talk about is multiplying fractions, which is super simple. So first you need to make sure if you've got mixed numbers or whole numbers that we're turning those into fractions. So we can't do the rest of the rules until we're working with a fraction. So a mixed number is a number that has a whole number and a fraction in its expression. So 3 1/4 would be a mixed number. So to turn these into fractions, you multiply the denominator by the whole number, and then you add the numerator. And when you rewrite it, you just keep the same denominator. So whenever I see a mixed number in my head, I always do this times this plus this. So I kind of go in a circle around the whole thing. This times this plus this. And I wrote it out over here for you. 4 times 3, which is 12, plus 1 is 13. So this is the same thing as saying 13 over 4. So any mixed number, just multiply the denominator by the whole number and then add the numerator. And you have to realize 3 1/4, if you were to split this 3 into fourths, each one of these, since it's a whole number, would be 4 over 4. That's a whole. So you've got 4 out of 4 making 1, another 4 out of 4 making 2, another 4 out of 4 making 3, and then you just got 1 out of 4 for that last part. So 4 out of 4 plus 4 over 4, which is 8, plus another 4 is 12, plus that top one is 13. So just imagine this is 3 different pies, and they've all been cut into 4s, but you've got all of them. So we're just working in 4s. That's why we got to keep our denominator. If that confused you, don't worry. Just do this times this plus this. But sometimes visually it helps me understand why it's 13 over 4. So now that you've got your mixed number into an improper fraction, meaning the numerator is larger than the denominator, you'll be able to multiply better. So when we multiply fractions, we just go across the top and across the bottom. We can't do that if we have this. So that's why we need to make an improper fraction. Also, if you have a whole number, you can make it a fraction by putting it over 1. Any whole number can be represented as a fraction by putting it over 1. It doesn't change the value, it just makes it a fraction. 2 is still 2. 2 divided by 1 is still 2, so it's the same value. So once you've got one numerator and one denominator, you can start to multiply. So when you're multiplying fractions, you just go across the top and then across the bottom. But again, you've got to make sure that you're working with just a numerator and a denominator. So a whole number doesn't have both, so you've got to give it both. A mixed number has too much, so you've got to get it back down to just one numerator, one denominator. So once you've done that, make sure that you reduce your fraction as much as you can and you're done. And the 2 examples I gave you, this one has a mixed number and a whole number. This one is just fractions. So for this mixed number, I did 3 times 2 plus 1, which gave me 7, right? 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Keep that denominator. And then I turned 3 into a fraction by putting it over 1. So now I just go across the top. 3 times 7 is 21. And I go across the bottom. 3 times 1 is 3. Now, 21 divided by 3 is 7. 3 can go into 21 7 times perfectly. So my answer would be 7 for this one. If it's already just fractions and there's nothing to simplify or reduce, just go straight across the top, straight across the bottom, and reduce. So multiplying is pretty simple. Once you have it in your simple numerator and denominator form, just a fraction, just go straight across. And then for dividing, make sure you can see this. There. For dividing fractions, this is this whole bottom part, the first two processes are the same. So if you have a mixed number, you need to turn it into a fraction. So I put same process as multiplying step number 1 above. So it's the same process as this. Same thing. So for example, if I have 2 1/3, I just do this times this plus this. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And you keep your denominator. So it's 7/3. For number 2, if you have a whole number, you just make it a fraction by putting it over 1. So if I have 3, I turn it into a fraction by making it 3 over 1. Again, you've got to be working with one numerator, one denominator. And if you're not, you've got to get it in that form. Let's see. And then for the next part, for dividing, I know you guys have heard this, keep, change, flip. So once you've seen your division problem, you're going to keep the first fraction exactly like how it is, unless it's a mixed number, and then you would turn it into an improper fraction. You'll change the division sign to multiplication, and then you'll flip the second fraction. You literally flip it. So whatever's on top goes on bottom, and whatever's on bottom goes on top. Then you can multiply straight across, right? So the two examples I gave you, 3/4 divided by 1/4. Okay, well, we keep 3/4. We change division to multiplication, and we flip 1/4 to 4 over 1. Once we've done keep, change, flip, we just multiply our numerators, multiply our denominators, and then reduce. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Now again, if you've got a mixed number in your division problem or whole numbers, you've got to change those. That's our first part, right? So 2 1/2 would actually be 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. Would actually be 5 over 2, right? That's our improper fraction. Then we change 2 to 2 over 1. Oh, I did this wrong. Let me fix this while we're on it. It's always good to check your work. So we changed this to we changed this mixed number to an improper fraction, but we kept it. We didn't flip it. So 5 over 2 stays 5 over 2. Change division to multiplication, and then flip your second fraction. So 2 is actually 2 over 1 to make it a fraction, and then we flip it. So it would actually be 1 over 2. See, I didn't flip that the first time. So 5 times 1 is actually 5. 2 times 2 is actually 4. So it's 5 over 4. Or you could change that to a mixed number if you want. 4 can go into 5 one time with one little remainder. Right? So you can either leave it as an improper fraction or a mixed number. So you keep the first part, and if it's a mixed number, you've got to make it improper. You change your sign, and then you flip the second fraction. Perfect. And that's it for your notes and how they work. Hope you guys can tell that that's a 1, and this is a 2. I think so. All right, and that's all. So make sure now that you've gone over your notes, either write them down, print them out, whichever one you prefer. And make sure that you go to make sure that you go to Delta Math and do your 5 problems at this time. Thanks, guys.